In this video, I'll show you how to use the Prior Invoice feature in Emburse Enterprise. The Prior Invoice feature allows you to copy an invoice so you can save time on regularly paid invoices. In this example, I'm going to show you some Cisco food invoices. These come our way frequently from the culinary department. You do have to put in one invoice fully from scratch first before you can use the Prior Invoice feature. So I'll walk you through entering the invoice and then we will use the Prior Invoice feature. If you do need the full video on entering in an invoice, please check out the DMAC Business Office YouTube page where I have a full video on how to enter an invoice. So I'm going to kind of quickly walk through the steps and then we're going to use Prior Invoice just so you can see how it works. Taking a look at this invoice, this is Cisco Food Services of Iowa. This one is for $164.27. So the culinary department does pay Cisco quite often. And in order to bypass having to enter all this information each and every time, we can use Prior Invoice, but it does require that we do put in this invoice at least once so that we can copy this invoice in the future. So I'm going to plug in the information from the invoice, such as the vendor name, address, invoice date, number, amount, and then I will upload the invoice and skip OCR. It's got many line items on the actual invoice itself, but because everything on this is going to the CULAA index and 6322 account code, we're going to make our lives easier, and we're just going to do one line item that says groceries for culinary program. That way, all future Cisco invoices, when I copy it over from the same template, they'll have the same description, they'll have the same account code and index, and I can make my life so much easier if I do it that way. So normally in the approval process, it's just going to go to the person in charge of the budget, but if you do want somebody else included, you can add an additional reviewer here. The person who entered in this actual invoice wanted the director of the ICI to also be included, so for this training, I'm going to add that person and show you what that looks like. Okay, now that I have got that one submitted, I can now pretend like I just got another Cisco Food Services of Iowa invoice, let's say a week later, and here's how I would do that with Prior Invoice. So let's go into Emburse, let's go down to the green invoices header and click plus create. So we will use this ellipsis here on the top right, and we're going to click Prior Invoices. Now notice how my entire screen changes. So we'll be looking for a prior invoice from Cisco so that we're able to mirror what we did last time. Now, if you do have a particular invoice that you want to copy, you might want to write down maybe the name of it, the date, or the amount, because if you go to do this in the future and you filter and you search for the word Cisco, all of the Cisco invoices that you've ever put in will be there. And so if you have one in particular you really like to use as a template, you can, be sure to note that. So once you've got your prior invoice selected, be sure to click Copy in the bottom right corner. Now a box appears. Now this is where Emburse says, hey, I'm going to copy everything over, but I know that this one is going to have a different invoice date and amount. So just give the system the invoice date and the invoice amount that you currently have that you're working with. And this ensures that it's going to bring over all the fields for you, but change those two things. So when you're finished, click copy. Okay, now that it's copied over, you will need to enter in your new invoice number. And you'll still need to attach your new invoice before you can submit it. If you needed to, you could edit your expense line items by using the ellipsis next to each line item. Because it carried over everything from last time, and I still have groceries for the culinary program, I won't need to really do anything with that. If everything looks good with this invoice, go ahead and click submit in the top right, and then approve. You can loop in someone else here, and if you would prefer it just to go to the budget manager like it's routed to, you would just hit approve again. And that is the short and sweet version of Prayer Invoice. If you have questions or need help, please reach out, lapray@dmac.edu, and I will be sure to help you. Thanks.